Good evening. Let's talk about FCC Type Acceptance / radios. I have a Uniden. This is a CB radio, by the way, 11 meters. It is a Uniden Pro 520 XL. See, here's the front of it. And on the back of it, there, and it's backwards because I'm using the front camera. There it says FCC ID, and it gives some letters and numbers. It's the ID tag. It shows that this is type accepted for 11 meters CB band, 40 channels, from 26965 to 27405. The radio that you're hearing in the background here is a Bofang, and we'll get to that here in a minute. This radio is a Midland, and the model number is GXT 760. And I'm not doing phonetics for people right this moment that don't quite understand phonetics. I'm just giving the model numbers. And the the FCC ID tag is right there, and it's backwards again because I'm using the front-facing camera. This is type accepted for MURS, for GMRS and FRS. I'll be right back. So these Bofangs pull the battery pack off the back. There is down here CMIT ID. That's not the same as an FCC ID number. These are not technically ham radio, GMRS, FRS, MURS radio. They have a frequency range, and that frequency range happens to transmit and receive in and out of ham band. It will do MURS, it will do FRS and GMRS. And even if you drop the power level down to under 5 watts on low power, you're still not legally allowed, because it's not type accepted, to use it for MURS, GMRS, FRS, or any, the business band, because it also will pick up police frequencies and stuff. But as a ham operator, when you get your ham license, I'll be right back. As a ham operator, I can legally transmit within the scope of my license. Which, what I mean is that my license for ham radio, I can transmit anywhere and any frequency that my license allows me to legally. Because as a ham operator, you can take anything you want and you can modify it to transmit, as long as you were transmitting within your band, within your frequency range. And I know for people that are listening that don't quite understand, maybe that's confusing, and I apologize. But once you take a radio, like let's say you have a legal CB radio and you modify it to do 10 meters, technically you're not allowed to transmit on CB frequencies even if it still can do it. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of hams out there that do. A lot of hams use Bofangs to transmit, ones that are not meant to do it. And they have a GMRS, and they use the Bofangs to transmit. I'm not suggesting doing that, just like with a modified CB. I'm not suggesting using it for 11 meters. Like my President Lincoln in a car. When I got it, it technically will physically transmit on 11 meters. But you're not supposed to. Because now that it's been modified, even though within my scope of my license for an amateur radio operator, ham radio operator, I can legally transmit on those frequencies, and for CB you don't need a license. The thing of it is that it's not type accepted once it's modified. And there's a lot of local hams in the Salem, Oregon area. One second, please. As an amateur radio operator, it is our responsibility to make sure that our radio that we're using is being used within the scope of our license. And that we don't have spurious emissions coming from the radio, that we're not splattering, that we're not deviating. So that's why as a ham, legally, you can get away with using other radios in the ham bands. I personally am not an official observer, an OO. I probably will never become one. I'm not a tattletale. I don't frankly care whether I do it or not. It's none of anybody's business. And I don't care if you take a Bofang and you're transmitting on GMRS, even on GMRS repeaters. I don't care. That's between you and the FCC, as far as I'm concerned. It's one of those nights. I got my 1776 tumbler, cherry Kool-Aid, and there may or may not be something else in it. I had originally intended on making a video about some of the creeks and stuff that run through Salem, but I decided against that. I get so frustrated with some of the hams here in Salem because, one, so many of them think and believe that they know everything. And if you key up on certain repeaters, they will shut you down and tell you that you're operating wrong and that you're operating incorrectly. They won't necessarily offer you any, words of wisdom. They just want to tell you you're doing it wrong. And of course they're doing it right. And it's very annoying. I do not claim to know everything. I don't know everything. And I lost my train of thought. I have heard on some of those same repeaters, all of a sudden, a newbie will come in and they'll say something, and somebody will interrupt a conversation and say, "Oh, you can't talk about that on ham radio," or "You can't do this," or "You can't do that." And, they may have some valid points. Like, according to the FCC, it may not be correct. But my thing is that it's just not really anybody's business. If I ask somebody, like, what kind of radio they're using and if they like it, it's not because I want to go file a complaint. It's just because I'm curious about what kind of equipment they're running and operating. One second. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and used your radio illegally. But the truth of the matter is I have a GMRS license, and I know lots of people that do. And if you have a GMRS radio, a dual bander, UHF, VHF for ham radio, and you have a MURS radio, which most of the people in my area, let me tell you, they don't know a lot about MURS. So that's another thing that bothers me. They get on and they start telling things that they don't know nothing about. I think I missed a point there. It's just been one of those evenings. If you decide you're going to buy a radio and you're going to modify it so it's capable of doing more than one radio service, by all means, go and do it. I'm not telling you anything more than just what is law. There's so many things that could fall under place of what is technically right or wrong, and you choose to do them. That's up to you. All right, folks. I see this video is over 10 minutes long of me rambling. I hope that you can take something away from this. I hope maybe that some of you have a better understanding of FCC ID numbers. I don't claim to know everything about FCC ID numbers and FCC Type Acceptance. But, if you have any questions, please ask. I'll do my best to answer them, honestly and truthfully. And if I don't know, I will do my absolute best to help you. God bless, and I hope you have a great evening.